This episode contains mentions of suicide and may be disturbing for some people. If you need help or to talk to someone, there are links and helpline numbers in the episode notes. Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. Now, one thing I've learnt in life is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear about how they got to where they are and get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions. Lance Burdett spent 22 years as a policeman. In that time, he was a lead crisis negotiator. Lance was highly regarded in that role, described as the most qualified and highly skilled negotiator within the force. Lance also qualified as a personal protection officer. He looked after Prime Minister's security as well as those in witness protection. He was principal security at the Delhi Games. In recent times, Lance has opened up about his own battle with depression and now focuses on teaching wellness, awareness, resilience and negotiating through his company Warn International. Oh, Lance has 3 books. His latest is Anxiety is a Worry. Wow, that was quite an introduction. Lance, welcome in.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I get a bit embarrassed about when people start talking about me because I think, I did all that.
Yeah.
You don't sort of realise you do it when you're doing it, and sometimes we don't reflect back on what we've done to see, go back to see how far we've come. I just keep moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, no, people say that to me, and I go, I haven't got time to look back. Let's just get on with it. Okay, let's ease in because we've obviously got a lot that we can talk about. Quick fire questions. What is top of your bucket list?
At the moment, finishing another diploma.
Ah.
I'm doing a 3rd one. You can never have enough. It's been on my list for about 5 or 6 years, but every time work gets in the way. So running a business is quite difficult at the moment, and extremely difficult last year. It was a heck of a time for every business. And so trying to do the studies and all of the work that you have to do on that is taken second step.
Even getting your head in that right space.
You've got to be, exactly right. You've got to be able to spend an hour, then start doing whatever it is you have to do to get in that right mindset, because it is positive psychology which focuses on only the positives of what we go through, not the negatives, whereas psychology sort of brings in some of the negative aspects. So we look at using your strengths rather than the challenges you've been through.
Yeah, well, good on you. And are you a morning person or a night owl?
I guess I'm a morning person. I wake up at 4 most mornings and just lie there and think. And if the thinking gets too much, I get out of bed. But I manage to fall asleep. But yeah, morning is where I am. Come around 3, 4 in the afternoon, like many people, I sort of drop off the edge. But then can, after dinner, have another second wave and keep going. But
okay, if you could live anywhere in the world except New Zealand, where would it be?
Wow. I fell in love with Hawaii and we go back every year. I'm very lucky. So probably be there.
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Yeah, it's a special place.
It's got something about it.
Okay, Lance, we're going to chat about the book and get some tips around anxiety and also some negotiating in the second half. But as we did in the intro, let's look at this career of yours. So you were a carpenter for 20 years, is that right?
I was a builder for 20 years, yeah. So I left high school and the only thing you ever did in those days was get an apprenticeship. So it was either engineering or becoming a builder. And I didn't like building, but I got, in my school certificate, I got quite high marks. So I thought that'll do for now.
That'll do it. But you made the switch to the police in your mid...
35.
35?
Yeah, I was one of Banksy's 500.
Ah, yeah, I remember that.
The last wing of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So they were recruiting for... I always wanted to be a cop. And
Did you?
As a kid, and it just fascinated me. I did have run-ins with the police, but I always wanted to be on that other side. And there was a couple of cops came to our building site where we had a break-in, and they were laughing and joking. They were driving this flash car, and they're doing all the report writing. And I thought, this is a doddle.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
It wasn't quite a doddle, was it? We're going to talk
I should have
about
noted, because he did have a rip and a bit of blood on his shirt button and on his pocket, and I thought, I wonder how that got there.
Unusual, though, to do the career shift at that sort of age. I mean, it's not unusual now, but actually, generally you did a job for life. And so
that's true.
You'd always had it in you, and then that opportunity came up and you just took the lead.
It just presented itself. Construction is a hard industry to be in. People don't realise that. You see people building, you think, oh, I'd love to be out there and, building and banging in nails. It's not like that. It's a relentless marathon to get the work finished as quickly as you can so you can move on to the next trend, and it's transient, it's got problems with weather, everything it goes against it. It's a stressful industry to be in, like farming.
Do you think that there's something to be gained in some of our police having a previous career like you did,
Absolutely.
or job, and then going in that little bit older, and with that you need that range, don't you?
You do. You need some maturity, I think, too. And it came to the fore. So before you join the police, you have to go on what they call scope training. It's 40 hours with police officers. And I was out with a couple of cops, and we went to a domestic dispute, and a offender came up and would only speak to me, and I said, I'm just here to watch. He said, yeah, but you've got the age.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to them, they're babies, they don't know about life.
Yeah.
And so that really, and then within 2 weeks or 3 weeks of being on the street, I was by myself in a police car. Mm-hmm. That's sort of unheard of, but I said to my sergeant, why am I by myself? He says, because you can handle that role yourself.
Yeah.
Is it what they called a Q car, a query car? So you're just going around doing reports, writing and visiting people. So, yeah, it gave me that grounding to be able to take a moment to think.
Mm. So what is a police negotiator?
We deal with all people. I still say we because I'm still one of them, and I still help wherever I can. It's what your role is to get everyone safely to a place of where reason sits. So it doesn't matter whether it's a barricaded criminal, a hostage taker, somebody on the edge who wants to step off. No matter what it is, a protest march, wherever there's conflict and high emotion, a crisis negotiator goes in and just simply, well, we say bore them out, but we just wear them down, and we use sense, we connect with the person, and so that the goal is always to get everyone home safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. It's as simple as that, get everyone home safe.
So why were you so good at the job?
I guess age was one thing. I'd been through quite a bit in my life. I really didn't hit my straps until I had depression myself. And I became very unwell. I just become a crisis negotiator and fell into a deep, dark hole. And it happens so fast you don't even know it's happening. And it just suddenly hits you. And you think, oh, you don't sleep, and it just, what's going on with me? What's going on with me? The voice in your head is relentless. And I'd managed to work myself out of that over the next 2 to 3 years while continuing as a crisis negotiator. And you don't learn then. But that was it was baptism by fire. And being able to do the one-on-one crisis suicide intervention. So suicide's different so crisis intervention is when everyone's in crisis, whether they're angry or whatever, sad, whatever. But when somebody's really wanting to take their own life, it gave me that insight that few others had, I think. And I just would say something like, I've been there.
What the depression had. So it gave you could better relate
to
what they were going through.
That's what I put it down to. I don't think it was my skill. I don't know, it's for others to say, but I just had that ability to connect with people. Inside there was a little boy doing backflips, scared as hell when I was talking with them, thinking, what are you going to say? And it just came out. And it was just the right thing to say at the right time. The hardest part of doing any suicide intervention is to get the person out of their position, because they've made the decision to take their own life, but there's something in the back that just says, just hold on. And that's the part that we go for. It's called the hook. You've got to try and convince them to come out of where they are. And so they
physically as well.
Physically. So they fear the future. They can't kill themselves. So they failed twice now. And then you're going to get them out of that position, and so that they can't do it again, and hopefully get things better. So it's that whole midway part is quite a challenge. It really is. And I just seem to be able to come up with these ideas very, very quickly. They just flew into my head, and I don't know where they come from, and I still don't half the time. So while I'm talking with you, I'm like, where's this conversation going? Because I have no plan for conversations. I don't like it. And only really recently when I was writing my last book on that anxiety, I realised that I may have a little bit of ADHD.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So have you diagnosed?
No, it's not diagnosed, but I've done all the tests online. And my mum, bless her, she kept all of my report cards from Bulls School, started at Hobsonville Primary School, then Bulls, then Tarapa, and she kept them all. And I read them and it says disruptive, class clown, needs to pay attention, discipline is not his strength, and just all this stuff. And I'm like, I thought I was doing okay.
Yeah, I read that in your book and I was like, oh, that could have been my report too. I thought many times. Do you think the work was part of the cause of the depression?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know now and doing what I do now and with all the information that I have, any first responder to anything, to any incident, even people who go to burst water mains, right? People don't understand the crisis that the brain goes into in those situations. So it doesn't matter. I call first responders not just fire, ambulance, police, military, but those who go to burst water mains, those who go to trail, a train track that's come. They are in high stress states, and you've got to be able to learn how to defrag, to unwind from those things. But policing is quite unique in that you do not get a period of time to stand down between jobs. It is from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And each one's different. So therefore, it's activating, although it activates the limbic system, it activates it emotionally different depending on your connection to the incident from your previous life, from your triggers. And so everyone goes into the same situation as police officers, not realising, and you get used to that heightened state. It becomes, oh, no, just go in there and let's just do this, let's just lock them up, let's just do whatever. But the whole time you're in an alert state but don't realise it. And so the adrenaline's still pumping, cortisol's still going through your system, and the reaction within it. So when cortisol goes into your system, all your organs shut down except for the vital ones. And so that has a lot of impact on your kidney, your liver, your stomach. So you end up with, people end up with all sorts of actual medical conditions, not realising that it's part of the stress they've gone through.
And do you not have that kind of debriefing and that ability to actually step back from it and take time to reflect on sort of what you've... No, because, when I first started, it did have that, starting in West Auckland. We did have, night shift was boring. There was nothing happening on a night shift. And that's, people think, really? At the Northern Communications Centre, they used to play cards. Right, because there was nothing happening. And 2-3 years later, it just suddenly exploded and we started having people and things going off all the time. And so by the time I got into Auckland Central Police Station, night shift was the busiest shift ever. You were just racing from job to job. Yeah. And even day shift became quite good. It was the place where you could sort of defrag. But then even like things like domestic violence and that started to happen 24 hours a day. Yeah. So you could be going, at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning to a domestic dispute. So the workload increased significantly and you didn't have the ability to do... So the phone number is 105, the non-emergency phone number. That you used to say that on air, 105, I'm going to take a break. And you could say that any time when I first started. We're off having a cup of coffee. That code's gone. Yeah. It's now used as a phone number. Yeah. And it's not even on the list of codes to remember now because you don't get 5 minutes off. It's relentless. And you have what they call crib meals. So you have a meal whenever you can. It's cribbed within your shift. People don't understand that. No, that's not healthy though, right? Like it's just not.
But that's part of the challenge, right? It's a bit like an ED, I guess. It does bring the group together. You bond like never before, and that holds people in the job for too long. Yeah, no one understands your colleagues. Brothers and sisters.
Yeah, that's the only ones that really do.
Your brothers and
do you think police have got better at recognising, sort of mental well-being as being vital? Yeah? Yeah,
I do. I don't think they do enough during training though. In the initial training, they could do a lot more. Having people coming along and talking about how they struggled is not good. No. How did you get out of that struggle? That's what we should be doing. Well, how do you prevent it? So the breathing techniques that I show people these days, if you do them at the time and remember to do them and you do them well and they're simple, you will be in a better place and you won't be as affected. So you won't need that additional support. It's controlling the fight or flight.
Yeah, I understand. Can I just touch on the security for the Prime Minister and witness protection? Having been there, I was acting Prime Minister a few times.
Right.
Because you're 24/7. Like, people don't realise it. No. They think it's kind of cool, but actually, as someone that's being protected, it's like, wow, these people are literally in my life.
You live and sleep it the whole time. You're watching the person the whole time, absolutely. And so I was lucky. I ran the team. Yeah. So I wasn't the one doing all the hard work. But so it is demanding for the officers, and it's done on a shift for a particular reason. But the week that you are the duty week with the Prime Minister, you pack a bag and that's it, and you are prepared to go anywhere. And you sleep in the room next door. If it's a hotel, you've got the room right next door to them, and you are there, and you must be up before them, and you must be at last to go to bed and ready to go the next day.
Yeah.
So your sleep is deprived, but they love it. They've been there for. You would still recognise the same people.
I do.
I'm lucky enough to go through the Corrie Lounge on occasion, and I see them standing there. I go, "What are you doing? You look 100. Stop it."
I agree. It's same with the drivers actually, and because I'm friends with the Prime Minister, so that's and it's quite funny when I see them. I'm like, "Oh, how are you?" Like it's just been, and I sort of didn't do it when Labour were in because like they've just got to be neutral. But of course, it's just quite different when it's your own team, and you can see that passion for the job. And I remember once being in a motel, and as I went to collect my key, the woman who owned it whispered, and she said, "A man has got a key to your room." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, no, that's true, and it's and they're armed full time, so they've got to be very mindful of that. And you are at again another heightened state, but it's you're looking not at the person you're protecting, you're looking everywhere else. So they get quite drained by just the situational awareness of using all of their senses to look around and to see what could happen next, and to respond when it happens.
So how you had the depression and then you did manage to pull yourself out of it. I mean, you've seen the worst of society, and we're seeing that sort of face on. I mean, how did you then mentally look after yourself? I mean, I heard somewhere that you say you never looked at the face of a dead body.
No, never.
Is that one of those protections for you?
Yeah, I still can never look at a dead body. In the face in particular. I can help people, but and I guess that's my upbringing. We never saw I never saw a dead body till I joined the police.
Yeah.
Because we were always protected from it, and that's where I now know that that's the wrong thing that parents should be doing. I mean, we shouldn't be taking them out and showing them dead bodies, but get them to learn about life at the right stage of their life is the way to manage that. So it's I struggled a lot with a lot of things. I have to say. The exams, all of that sort of stuff was easy for me once I learned to learn. So it was the police that taught me how to learn. So I had to do one of the adult learning institutions. I had to go and do an English paper because I hadn't even got English at school examination. So at 34, I was off to school. And then I got to the police college, and somebody there said, she was a behavioural science tutor, and she said, "You have got a huge IQ. Your tests show that it's off the scale. That means you can learn. You just haven't been shown how to learn." And she sat down, and there was 3 or 4 others there, and said, "Look, here's some different ways to learn." So I came up with my own way of learning, and it was just like the doors open. I would spend weekends when everyone else is off out of the college in the classroom doing my own way of learning, and finished very highly, except I missed one question on my last exam, which that's the old ADHD thing. I'll do that one later.
And get to it
and
eventually.
He never got to it when he was putting all the papers down. I went, "Oh no." Look, it's and I will always be proud of being a police officer.
So why did you leave the police?
My time was up.
Yeah.
I started saying things that I shouldn't. I started getting into trouble. I was worn out. Police could not see the harm they were causing to staff at that time. It was just relentless. And, we were having, at that stage, I was working at the 111 call centre, where my daughter worked, in fact. She was a dispatcher, and that was great on night shifts when she's there on night shifts, and she called me Dad. You're supposed to call me Sir because I was an inspector.
Yeah.
"Hey, Dad!"
Yeah.
And so everyone on her section started calling me Dad, which is kind of cool, right?
Yeah, that's
because on a
kinda
night
cool.
shift, when it's, the night shifts are from 11 at night till 7 in the morning, you're awake the whole time, and you're working hard. It was great, but talking too much, speaking my mind is not something that you should do. I started to learn a lot after my depression. I started to study about the brain, and I was fascinated by it. And I always remember a very, very senior, he was a assistant commissioner at the time, talking about police doing their surveys for staff, their engagement surveys, and I said, well, look, when I feel this, when I fill out this form, depends on my mood. So, one swallow doth not make us summer. And I looked across and I said, what? What is that?
Yeah.
You're just
getting a bit titchy, and it's kind of time.
Yeah, it's time for me to go.
So now you're running Warn International. So what drove you to start that business?
I didn't want another job, and my wife, it was her. She came up with the idea. My wife Donna, she said, "You always love standing in front of people and training. You love coaching people." I did it in the police. So if when I was in inquest, for example, I helped train up the inquest officers and run them through training sessions. So whatever I was doing, and I did like it, and I was responsible for recruitment and training at the 111 call centres. So I thought I'd start with a laptop and just develop a program on dealing with people in challenging situations and just start from there. No real drive. And the funny thing is, before I left, I spoke to an organisational psychologist, and she said, so what did your analysis do of your work, how it's going to fit into the wider world? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I hadn't done any.
Yeah.
But I had the passion there, and it's hard to start a business from nothing. So I started with nothing more than a laptop, developed a program, a spreadsheet, all government departments where I felt safe. And I just put them all down there and started. I hate that.
Yeah, they are cold calling.
Hi, Lance.
Yeah.
How's your day going? Never start a conversation like that, by the way, because you know what you're going to get. Exactly. We offer something different. And so just by meeting with people, I got my break with a very, very big organisation, and it started from there, and I've never really looked back. It's just that you've got to have that drive, and I've always had that drive my whole life.
Good on you. Okay, when we come back, we're going to focus on some advice from what you have learned with your own depression, and also want to see how much you do as a negotiator and how that can be used in everyday situations. So let's come back shortly. Welcome back to Ask Me Anything. My guest today is former police crisis negotiator Lance Burdett. So Lance, your new book is Anxiety is a Worry. We live in really anxious times. Is it worse?
It's worse than it's ever been. People often say, but look, after the wars, when people came home, they got through this stuff. They didn't get the PTSD. They were a bit more robust, and but they didn't have the distractions we have now. Our brains have changed. Your brain's different to what it was 10 years ago. All of our brains are different. And the reason is we have an easier access of information. The way we do things has got more complicated. We're being bombarded by everything. So we're having this, and because of that, we've become hyper-vigilant. Now, the brain still has what's termed a negativity bias. So the brain is wired to look for danger to avoid it. Mm-hmm. So it's continually looking for and listening and smelling. Mm-hmm. And so if you smell something that takes you back to a memory of danger, all of a sudden you go into fight or flight. That's happening a lot more. So we're hyper vigilant to risk these days. And it's to do with the wiring, the hard wiring of the brain and the stem. We haven't kept pace with technology and with the advances in our world. We just haven't kept pace of it.
Because it's so fast, you just look back even a decade, let alone if you went back sort of 20 or 30 years, but even in the last 10 years, kind of getting your head around, just the changes and us adapting to it every day. So do we not have enough quiet time?
Well, quiet time is a good thing, but that still doesn't. All that does is avoid. So it's about learning how to slow things down as you're doing it. Mm-hmm. And so while I've been talking with you, apart from you comparing yourself to what I'm saying, which everyone else is doing while listening to us, you've already thought of 3 or 4 or 5 things while I'm talking in the future. So the brain is wired to look to the future, and you can't stop it. It wouldn't have been something about this conversation or question coming up. It would have been just something that came to mind of you. Oh, that's right, I've got that to do this afternoon. Right? So that's the way the brain works. It never used to do that. We could have a conversation where we could sit down and be in the moment right here.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing else. Now you can't do it. 15 seconds is our attention span. 15 seconds. So that's why when people are listening to this and they will be wandering off, their minds will be thinking, they'll be doing other things and not fully focused. We've learned to try and catch up. So the brain will try and keep pace with the world. And if that doesn't work, multitasking will start and procrastination will creep in. So we're trying to do 2 or 3 things at once these days, which is just adding to the injuries we're getting. And we are putting things off more than ever before because the brain can't keep pace with the world that we're trying to keep pace in. So it really comes down to controlling your breathing.
Wow. Tell me the difference between anxiety and depression. And I suppose, first of all, is there a difference?
Yeah, there is. So anxiety is the definition of anxiety is worried thoughts. Mm-hmm. And in fact, if you take it to its ultimate definition, it's worrying about things that will not or cannot happen. It's an imaginary thing.
Okay.
Right? So that's the true definition of anxiety. I bring it back to just saying it's over worrying. You're worrying about things that may not, will not, have not happened. So that's anxiety. Now, if we keep on that path of anxiety and do not do something about it, there's a risk that we will go into depression. Depression is more around, for every single person it's different, right? So,
because you said yours came on quite fast.
Oh, it was pretty quickly, yeah. So, and it was a number of factors that built up to it. So, one, not allowed to take leave, right? So, at 3 years, in those times, policing had got to such a degree where you couldn't take leave; it was just declined. They just put a pen through it and go declined. And so, and then there was some personal things happened in my life, and then there was I was studying too much, so I was, to promote and to get promotion exams. And because of all of these things, not resting, and then the ultimate thing was my mum dying and me being at her house the night before. And she said, have you got time? In fact, I dropped the trailer off on the way to a call out. It was the weekend and I came back, it was dark, and I picked the trailer up and she said, do you want a cup of tea? I said, I'm too busy, Mum, I'll catch up with you on the weekend. And she died the next day. And I didn't have time off for that because I just work through and keep going. That's the way that I'd learned to deal with stuff, just to put it behind you. And, it wasn't until after the funeral that I started to just couldn't sleep and just didn't understand what was going on. And then I had what they call an ideation. I had a thought of suicide came into my own mind of, I was looking out the window, as it turned out, on the 4th floor of the Auckland Police Station, and my brain just said, and it wasn't the voice that we have, it was just this thought came, you've got to go higher. And I knew straight away that what it was. And I could feel the blood drain.
Wow.
And I went, holy hell. So I phoned the welfare and they said, well, we sort of, there's a bit of a lag to get you some help. So I went and saw a minister. So they have, in the police, they have the...
they do, the chaplain.
The chaplain comes around and he came around every Friday. So I went down, he was just down the road and had a chat to him.
Yeah.
We prayed, which was really, really helpful for me. And then set about fixing myself and ended up...
And so is talking a part of it? So if there's people listening now and they're sort of going, because we are all different, but if there's people struggling, then, what are some of those first steps they can take?
Find a stranger.
Yeah. Find
a stranger to talk to. The biggest fear is how people will judge us. Strangers don't judge us. They don't know us. Find people who are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Reach out to, the 1737, for example, or Lifeline, or any of the other many support lines that are out there. Talking. So we have to get things out of our head.
Yeah.
The biggest one is talking, but the other one is writing, believe it or not. And I came across this in my book, was that if you write things down, it's out of your head. And the way I talk about it these days is how many of us have had a list of things we have to do and we've written them down with a pen and paper, forgotten to look at the list. But then at the end of the day, when you go, oh, there's my list, you've done them. Because when you write with a pen, it puts it into the back of the brain. System 1, it's called. And we're wired to write with pens on paper, by the way, so we need to use a pen and a stick because Scandinavian countries now have banned electronic devices in primary school.
Don't you worry about it. My husband says I write a list to write a list.
Oh, I've got notebooks.
Yeah.
No, which notebook did I put that in?
Yeah. Okay, writing.
But writing is very, very good.
Yeah.
Talking and writing. Reading's not so good. Doing things by yourself is not so good. But it's the two things to get out of your head. But talking is the best because we share, we compare, we're a social species. While you and I are talking, we're getting oxytocin, we're getting that connection, and we're getting the brain is starting
Yeah.
a bit of dopamine in there and endorphins going, all of the really good chemicals that we need to. But when you're doing it by yourself, that's not happening. But what they found is that if you write things down about what happened as fast as you can for 20 minutes, non-stop, no capitals, no punctuation, nothing. You don't worry about spelling, and you write as fast as you can. You do now the research.
Why do you
was
do
done,
that? Sorry?
It's a brain dump to get it out of your head. You can do it by typing.
Yeah.
That's the only time that the research is showing you can type things these days. And you get it out. The next week you do it to another 20 minutes. The next week after that you do another. And they say that in the 3 weeks' time it's the same as having counselling. Our brains are changing, right? So people will be they're going, oh, there's nothing better than talking. Well, then I take them back to my master's in terrorism. I just use that, but it's safety and security.
Yeah.
But, I always just say masters in terrorism. In about 15 years ago, we had to speak people to people, person to person, to become fully radicalised. Now you can watch a video.
Yeah.
So this is how our brains are changing. And I always start most of my workshops and most of my presentations and even keynotes by saying, we are different than we were 5 years ago. Our brains are changing. We can no longer hold on to the past. We now need to start doing things differently.
So you sort of touched on the breathing. Talk to me about, those sorts of, you've got them, there's many tools in your book. Talk to me about some of those tools and particularly about the breathing and the difference that makes for us.
The mechanics of the body is that the slower you breathe, the slower your heart rate, the slower your head thinks. It's that simple. So when we're triggered by, if I might just do a little trigger for people now, a gentle one. So if I was to mention things such as redundancy, cancer, heart attack, divorce, mental health, everyone would be triggered by, I said something, you would have heard it, the amygdala would have tagged it with gone back to your memory, you thought of that person or the situation. You did not come to the prefrontal cortex to say it's just Lance talking because you got a shot of cortisol, not adrenaline. It's the release of sugars into the blood. What's that danger? Yeah. And you will stay there. And when you do that, you take a big deep breath, and that's to get the adrenaline and cortisol straight away through your system. It's one heartbeat basically, and it's there. And it will stay there until the danger's gone. So the way to clear your head of any trigger and any thought is to sigh, because we now short breathe.
Yeah.
And because we're short breathing, we're not getting enough oxygen into our brain, so our brain is not connecting us to the prefrontal cortex. It's not working properly. So we're going to do our first breathing technique. We're all going to take a big deep breath, and I'll get you to sigh. So big deep breath in, go. Sigh as hard as you can. Now quickly think of something.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to do. Food's the usual thing that people think of at the moment.
I didn't think of anything.
No, but most people nothing. So it clears your head of all thoughts. And now you've forgotten what I've said. So a simple sigh clears the head. If you're triggered and in a situation where you don't want people to know that you've been triggered, you just breathe out slowly. So if you breathe out slowly, no one knows, just breathe out as slowly as you can. And now you'll be calm.
Yeah.
When you breathe out, your heart rate goes down. When you breathe in, your heart rate goes up. So going to our trigger, when something happens, we're wired to go, where's the danger? So as soon as that happens, you breathe out.
And just let it out and slowly.
And your heart rate will come back down. And from then on, the slower you breathe, the slower you think.
Wow. I do it at night when I wake up at 2 a.m. and can't get back to sleep, and then
slow it down.
Just slowed it all down and do the counting, and just brings me. It's saved my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I sort of
one thing I do is I
yeah.
breathe right out fully when I think it's about right, and I just hold my breath.
Yeah,
and I fall asleep.
Yeah.
You don't worry, you do keep breathing.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. But yeah, you do. So just breathe out and hold your breath, and your heart rate will slow really quickly.
Wow.
And then you'll fall asleep.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. So we don't talk about suicide, enough, or do we? Because there's that two schools of thought, isn't there?
We got to a stage where I think we were over talking it.
Yeah.
And that would have only been 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Where it was every newspaper you picked up, every news story, everyone was there to help.
Yeah.
And now I think we're at a place where it's a nice conversation we can have about that now. you're putting a warning up, but that still does trigger some people just with the warning.
Yeah.
Right? But the actual conversation that we can have about suicide won't be a trigger for people. I don't ever do that. If I ever talk about suicide, and I do workshops on this, on how to identify advanced mental health support, mental health first aid. So we do the advanced one, go into a bit more detail and show how it happens and why it happens and what are the behaviours you're looking for in people. But the conversations we're having these days are much simpler. Now, if we tend to use the word suicide, that triggers a lot of people. So by softening the words, now some research was done in the 2020, was released in the UK. Words are less blunt, more inclusive, and we don't start our sentence with an apology. So if you can keep those three things in mind. So we might say, so what did you, instead of saying, are you thinking of killing yourself, which is a brutal, blunt tool that is used. Well, the research shows you shouldn't. So crisis negotiators use it for a particular reason, and that is to snap the person out of where they are.
Yeah.
Because when you're not, it's not you. It's not them. People, there's no rational thought, right? And they don't know. Half the time, Oprah did. I've got a video of Oprah doing a show where 4 survivors, 4 people who wanted to kill themselves, didn't, thankfully, or got saved. And every single one of them said, I had no idea what I was doing. So they don't know. So you've got to snap them. But even that is being backed out a lot now.
Yeah.
And so we're changing a lot of the narrative and the words that we use because we realise now we're in a different time. If you start using harsh words on people, you will offend, you will push.
Yeah.
So now it's about using...
And they'll stop listening.
And they'll stop listening. So now it's about bringing them. So the way I do this, and I hope everyone, as it takes us on board, is to say to somebody, so what's happening? Yeah. Or what's going on? What's going on with you?
Yeah. And
you say it 3 times. The brain works in 3s. So the first 2 times you say that, they'll come back with something that's front of mind but not the issue. Because it's never one. There's a whole lot of things going on, and it's the ultimate step, right? And so before there's something that happens before that decision to be made. So then you say again, that's I appreciate that, but I do want to know what's happening. So you're I'm just going to go a little bit deeper if I can. Now, they may say what it actually is, but generally not. Yeah. So as soon as they finish that, you say, so what else is happening? Yeah. And as soon as you use that word else, the tears come, and because you've said, I know
there's something more.
I know it's more than that.
Do you worry about our young people? And, because it does feel like, as you were saying, those few years ago, you would read and you'd just think, my goodness, it feels like they're getting younger and younger, dealing with anxiety, dealing with depression, suicidal thoughts, it would be unheard of in those preteen or, but it just feels like...
Even that age is changing. Preteens are becoming... preteens much earlier.
Yes.
About around 2 years earlier. We mature 2 years earlier than we once did. Yeah. And it's directly related to the brain and the amount of information we have in our brain. That's the only thing that I can bring it down to. Wow. Because we have more information in our brain with ready access. Yeah. Right, we've got all our technology these days.
And so is one of those tips then, Lance, for parents that are perhaps, it is asking those questions of your children, asking those, really going, what is going on with you?
That's it.
Where
You've got
it.
You've hit,
and
you've
doing that sort of 3 times.
Instead of doing that, just do it 3 times, but don't do that. What else is going on? Just do the 3. So what's going on? Yeah. Right. Then you put it back on them and you say, how do you think you can deal with that? Help people help themselves. Yeah. And that's when they learn. Now,
it's a good tip because most men are fixers.
I play this great video when I'm doing my de-escalation workshop. So I play a video, it's called Nail in the Head. You may have seen it where she's got a nail in her head and he's saying, if you just pull it out, you'll be fine. And she's saying, it's not about the nail. He says, I think it is. I think if you just get that out. And it's a classic, right? But there's a sentence that he says in there is gold. He says, that must be really hard. And that's validation. Yeah. And that's what we need to do with people we talk with. You're going through a tough time after they've told you what you're going through a tough time. Yeah. That's all people want is validation. the best help for me was I sat there into the psychologist. He was a great guy. Unfortunately, he's passed now, but he's a wonderful man. And he passed too soon because we're going to be doing work together. And he said to me, all I see in front of me is a caring, loving husband who cares too much for people. And you could imagine.
Yeah.
The tears were rolling down my face, and it was I said, really? He said, yeah, you just care too much. We all do sometimes.
Yeah.
And so.
And that validation.
That validation of just going. And then he said, you've actually got accumulated stress disorder. There's a name?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, it's burnout, or it's just, you're just burnt out. You've spent too much.
Yeah.
And you're broken. But you're not fully broken. You just need some time.
And actually, I've had John Kerwin on the show, and, he gives a wonderful example of, actually Michael Jones, when he was suicidal and literally sort of pacing. And, he said he was just standing there and Michael just simply said, you're a really good man. Your heart is good. He just said, I played for the next 3 days as I was on the edge. He said, I just repeated that sentence in my head, JK, you've got a good heart.
Yep. It's people who are empathic are the ones that get hurt the most. We care too much and we just don't know how to deal with it, and we want to hear other people's stories. But what happens when we hear other people's stories and we hear our own stories, it's absorbed into us and it becomes part of who we are, and we start to focus on more of the negatives because of the way the brain works rather than who we've helped. We focus on their problems rather than the fact that we've actually helped them. And that's just learning to be able to deal with that. I can now talk to somebody who's suicidal. I can help them out of where they are, and I can go and have a cup of tea and sit down and have a chat with my wife or watch a movie. And every so often it might just come to mind, and a couple of days later I might just reach out to them. But I've now learned that I've done what I can do. And that's all I can do. And,
you can certainly hear through the advice that you're giving that those negotiating skills are part of what we can all use in our everyday
100%.
life, 100%. Which is, listening, asking the right questions.
Respond to what they've said. Just respond to what they've said. Don't go into any conversation thinking this is the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
It's a bit like your interview, I guess. You've got some questions there, but what comes out of my head comes out of my head, and you're doing a fantastic job at following on from that and then keeping me on track, because people have to keep me on track. So you're doing a great job there. But it's around listening to the person and responding to what they say. So that's listening and hearing.
Yeah.
You must do both.
Yeah.
You must listen and hear.
Okay, to end our advice segment, I would love to know what is some of the best advice you were ever given, and who was it given by?
I've been given so much advice over the times, but I guess the one the psychologist said to me, that you're a loving person and you just care too much, was a good piece of advice. But I always remember a district commander saying to me once, I'd worked extremely hard in the police and left 3 legacies there, and one of them was taken by somebody else, and they, were lauded for it. They were, and applauded and all that sort of stuff, and it sort of hurt. And he said to me, it's not how you fall down, it's how you get back up.
Good advice.
And I kind of remember that every time. It's how you get back up. It's hard to put into play. But so the thing that I say to people now is you've just got to keep going. You've just got to put that stuff behind and keep moving because that's the direction we're going in. But it's how you get back up.
And we learn from experience, and if you've been knocked down a few times, then getting up gets a bit easier.
Well, when you run a business, you get knocked down every day.
It's a learned...
Why didn't you choose me?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, Lance, the podcast is called Ask Me Anything, and so far I have done all the asking. So this is your opportunity to ask me something if you would like to.
Did you achieve everything you wanted to achieve in politics?
No.
Okay, another question of that. Why did you do it?
I loved it, but you when you look back, and I've got to say, as soon as I went in there and became a minister, people said to me, go quickly and do all that, and I felt like I did. But you look back and you just go, I could have done more, faster, been unreasonable. I mean, I think unreasonable people get great things done, and because otherwise you're just always accepting that this is as good as it gets. Yes. Whereas if you're a bit unreasonable, you're pushing yourself, you're pushing others, you're trying to achieve. So I do think there's definitely I got better at not worrying about the things I couldn't control. But I think anyone would be kidding themselves if they looked back at a career like that and said, "Oh, I nailed it." Because it's too big, right?
I have the utmost respect for politicians wanting to go in and do something like that. The scrutiny you're under. Intense, right?
Intense, yeah, really intense.
Yeah, it's everything, 100% everything about your life.
Yeah, and sort of people recognise you all the time as well, and then there's people that want to poorly judge you. And, I used to say in some respects you sort of lose your human rights because, you can't complain about service and you can't, you got to, you're constantly watching what you do because you are being constantly judged. But you put yourself into the role and it's part of the territory. So
that's it, and good on you for doing so. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a bit like a police officer, really, isn't it?
It is.
24/7. If you make a mistake when you're off duty, you're always. I will always be known as the ex-cop.
Yeah,
you're always known like that.
Lance, thanks for coming in. So Lance's new book is Anxiety is a Worry, and it is in stores now. I've read it. You also have a website. Tell us what that is.
Yeah, so it's warninternational.com.
And that's WARN.
WARN international.com.
So go and check him out there, and his phone number's there too, so you can just call him up directly and have a look at that and get him for a keynote speak or whatever that is in the training. So, and that's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. If you have enjoyed this episode, please follow Ask Me Anything on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you check out some of our past guests. I mentioned John Kerwin today. I'll be back next Sunday with another fabulous guest. I'm Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.